In the cold winter of 2008, a prominent behavioral economist named Dan Ariely noticed a bizarre anomaly while browsing the subscription options on a major global news publication. The company offered a digital-only subscription for $59, a print-only option for $125, and a combined package for the exact same price. If you are like most intelligent people, your immediate reaction is that the marketing team made a massive typographical error that allows consumers to cheat the entire system. What you do not realize is that this exact layout is a calculated psychological trap designed to manipulate your choices without you ever sensing the underlying corporate invisible hand. This hidden pattern governs almost every transaction in your daily modern life, yet absolutely nobody ever sits down to explain how it secretly drains your personal bank account. I break down one deep psychological concept per video in plain English. So if you want to protect your hard-earned money and understand human behavior, subscribe right now. When the researcher tested these three options on 100 bright students at MIT, 84% of them immediately selected the most expensive combined subscription package available. The intermediate print-only choice seemed completely useless. But when the researcher completely removed it from the lineup, something absolutely fascinating happened to the collective student consumer choices. Without that middle option acting as a psychological baseline, 68% of the smart participants instantly chose the absolute cheapest digital-only option for $59. This stunning shift proves that you do not actually know what things are worth, which leaves your brain highly vulnerable to predatory pricing structures across the globe. Behavioral scientists officially call this phenomenon the Decoy Effect, and multi-billion-dollar technology giants use it every single day to extract maximum capital from your wallet. Before I reveal the most sinister part of how technology companies manipulate your digital purchases, we must first look at how Starbucks forces you into large coffees. Imagine walking into a busy coffee shop intending to buy a small beverage, only to find the medium option costs just 50 cents less than the basic small. Your ancient brain did not evolve to calculate absolute financial value, so it quickly takes the path of least resistance by comparing the options directly in front. You convince yourself that buying the largest size is an incredible bargain, completely ignoring the reality that you just spent double your original intended budget on caffeine. Take a brief moment to think about the last time you upgraded your smartphone's storage space simply because the next tier up felt like a tiny, incremental price. You were not paying for the physical silicon storage chips inside the phone, but rather reacting to an asymmetric dominance trap perfectly laid out by elite executive designers. The middle tier exists solely to make the premium tier look like a mathematical steal, effectively transforming a luxury expense into an urgent, logical necessity inside your mind. This exact cognitive illusion alters how you evaluate your salary, how you purchase houses, and even how you select healthcare plans for your aging family members every year. The structural mechanism relies heavily on what neuroeconomists define as the acute pain of paying, which is a literal neurological distress signal fired inside your brain. When you part with physical cash money, your brain registers a small flash of genuine pain, which naturally keeps your impulsive spending impulses relatively controlled and highly disciplined. But billion-dollar corporations realized they could completely bypass this biological defense mechanism by restructuring the environment in which you make every single one of your decisions. By introducing an intentionally bad deal as a decoy, they make the expensive option feel like an immense victory, which completely turns off the neurological pain center entirely. You walk away from the cash register feeling incredibly smart and victorious, while the corporate shareholders celebrate another record-breaking quarter of highly predictable consumer extraction. Stay with me for the next 2 minutes, because what I am about to show you regarding how this affects your long-term career choices changes everything you know. This invisible code does not just control the physical items inside your shopping cart. It actively dictates how you value your limited time and your entire professional career. Many ambitious professionals choose to stay in stressful, unfulfilling corporate jobs simply because the salary looks slightly better than a highly liberating alternative lifestyle option. They compare the high-paying job to a terrible entry-level position instead of comparing it to the ultimate value of their absolute personal freedom and physical mental health. You become trapped by the decoy of stability, entirely forgetting that the entire choice architecture was designed by a system that requires your compliance to function properly. The grand reveal of this psychological pattern is that your preferences are rarely truly your own, but are rather beautifully manufactured inside corporate laboratory testing rooms. Every single time you select the premium subscription tier or upgrade your restaurant meal, you are likely responding to the presence of a hidden, useless decoy option. The most effective antidote to this corporate manipulation is what cognitive psychologists call the isolation test, which forces you to evaluate items completely on their independent worth. The next time you see 3 distinct price points on a software page, completely ignore the middle option and ask if you truly need the top features. If you evaluate the expensive item entirely by itself without the comparison trap, you will instantly realize that the cheaper alternative fits your actual lifestyle perfectly well. Let us quickly pull this entire concept together so you can permanently cement this psychological shield into your daily financial decision-making processes, moving forward into the future. Remember that your mind naturally struggles with absolute value evaluation, which forces you to rely entirely on relative comparisons between options presented directly within your immediate view. Billion-dollar brands intentionally exploit this mental vulnerability by placing asymmetric decoy choices that make the most expensive tier look like a highly logical, unbeatable value proposition. By implementing the isolation test during your next purchase decision, you can completely dismantle this invisible choice architecture and retain complete control over your hard-earned financial capital. Please share this insightful video with exactly one person you truly care about who deserves to understand how the modern global corporate world secretly engineers our consumer behavior. One deep, meaningful conversation about these hidden cognitive traps could permanently change how they view money and protect their personal financial future for the rest of their natural life. Beyond the walls of retail and subscription models, this mental software actively dictates how major automobile manufacturers structure their luxury vehicle lineups to maximize corporate profit. When you visit a car dealership website, you are instantly hit with a base model that lacks essential features, an incredibly overpriced mid-tier model, and a fully loaded luxury option. The product engineers purposely inflate the cost of the mid-tier package so that upgrading to the premium performance package feels like an incredibly obvious and financially sound investment. You walk onto the lot intending to buy a reliable commuter car, but the deceptive framing mechanisms force your cognitive wiring to justify a massive long-term high-interest loan. What remains completely unspoken in the automotive sales process is that the middle car was never actually meant to be mass-produced or widely distributed to mainstream customers. It serves exclusively as a cognitive anchor, a piece of psychological camouflage that changes your definition of what constitutes a reasonable and responsible expenditure of capital. This brings us directly to our second open loop regarding how real estate agents use this identical cognitive software to manipulate home buyers into massive debt structures. A skilled broker will intentionally show you a neglected, overpriced house before taking you to a slightly more expensive property that looks absolutely pristine by comparison. The first house is the decoy, engineered to make the second house look like an absolute dream deal that you must lock down before anyone else notices it. Your mind falls into the trap because human memory evaluates beauty and value through immediate contrast, rather than calculating the strict math of structural worth and market trends. By manipulating the sequence of what you see, the architecture of the environment completely overrides your logical budgeting boundaries and financial safety nets. This brings us to a critical pattern interrupt that demands your absolute focus right now if you want to break free from this cycle forever. Take a moment to look at your current recurring monthly bank statements and count how many premium software applications you actually utilize on a daily basis. You will likely find at least 3 services where you upgraded to the top tier because the middle tier looked completely unappealing during the initial sign-up phase. The multi-billion-dollar streaming platforms know this, which is why their pricing grids are meticulously optimized by teams of highly paid behavioral data scientists. They know that if they present the choices correctly, your brain will voluntarily hand over an extra $50 a year without you ever raising a single question. The true cost of the decoy effect is not measured in single transactions, but in the thousands of dollars silently extracted from your lifetime wealth accumulator. The ultimate objective of understanding this mental code is to build a psychological firewall that preserves your financial sovereignty in a world designed to keep you consuming. Once you see the hidden scaffolding behind these everyday choices, the corporate illusions instantly lose their power over your neurochemistry and your personal bank account. The next time you enter the marketplace, remember that real financial freedom is not about how much you can acquire, but about how effectively you protect your choices from external engineering.